us.
We're not doing anything online. George Mason won't transfer.
Oh, really? They won't?
No. Yeah. I'm lucky that they're going to take anything from this institution, not stats.
Okay.
So annoying. But yes. But if you do have class questions, whatever, just come to me, because honestly. Can I email you? Yes. Yeah, just email.
Let me fix the camera.
I can't help with the AliExpress one. If you don't push me on them, or whatever, I got a whole sheet.
All right. Thanks. Appreciate you. Have a lovely Thursday. Okay. Can I turn on? Let me see how I do this. Okay. I kind of want to. I don't know. I'm going to keep it off for right now. And the reason I know I talked a lot about grids before, but I want to talk about them again. Particularly, we were missing a couple of classmates on Tuesday, and so just making sure that they fully understand different types of grids, why grids are so important, why if you don't have a grid on a poster, your poster will just not be as effective. So I just want to kind of go through it. Again, I tried to mention this before. If you see this resource is located under grids, a history, tips, and links. This is the baseline grid. Remember when I asked Mark, and Mark is like, baseline, I'm like, yes. So we often see baseline grids in our notebook paper. You can toggle that on and off at any time in Illustrator. I don't know, go ahead and make sure Illustrator's open and see if you can find baseline grid while I continue to talk, but it is there. It's often where text will sit, so they're often used in combination with column grids to make sure that lines of text in each column align uniformly across a spread. Now, when they mention a spread, this is, for instance, a 2-page spread, 2 pages of a book. So when you hear the word spread, you're looking, it's not just one thing, but across. And then if it's digital, for my UI, UX folks, you still have grids in your digital imagery, okay? When you have a modular grid, which is what I encourage you for this poster to have a modular grid, so you're not just looking in columns, you're considering columns and rows as well. You will often see modular grids when it comes to magazines, reports, this manuscript grid, this is you more likely see in if you have a book that you're reading, a good book. We should share books on books we should read. But I just want to say this is often, I think, a problem when students create their posters. They maybe just think from a large, big rectangular box when they're designing. So just remember we're going to consider a different arrangement of our work. Now, for pixels, this is one of the reasons if you're taking multimedia or have before, Mark, I think, did you take it before?
I know all about it.
You know, no, I meant, did you take it with Dr. Heron in the?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I took that one.
You took it as well? Okay. So if you've worked in, and I think he probably did some Photoshop with you potentially, but Photoshop is really focused on pixels, right? It's not vector based, and so you don't have the same ability to scale up and down. And this is hierarchical grid. I'm just gonna struggle with my words today, but that's okay. Any irregular grid that accommodates specific content needs. So it can be freeform or it can be composed of 2 superimposed grids or other grid elements. Just talking about, you'll see, I'm not going to go too far into this in terms of where we see grids, but they have existed for a very long time. It packed in information. We cannot read. This is really important. I know it sounds like common logic, but when we read shorter text across horizontally, we can read faster, and our eyes prefer it. On posters, too often I see people going across the full length of the poster with text. Okay, you don't want to do that. If you have something you want them to read, think about your phone, columns shorter, something. Man, the New York Times, right? They're not printing it all the way across, expecting people to read all the way across. The New York has to go, at least culturally in the United States in English, that's how we read text. Okay? This is the best book ever. It's one of the foundational books about grid systems. It's revolutionary. You can still find it. You can. I think if you look like in the, what's the open library? Is it called Open Library?
Nerd product?
No. That, I mean, Gutenberg. This is. There's a place where you can find books that are kind of out of print and see them. And it's free. What's it? Open Archive? Does that sound familiar? Not the Web Archive, Open Library? We'll find it. Someone Google it. Ella, you look like you're ready to Google. Find me the website that has, where we can look at books. You can check out books. Hi, you didn't use it. You're fine.
That might be different from high school.
Which, did you find it?
No, in high school we used this thing called Galileo.
Open library is a thing. It's on the Internet Archive.
Open Library? Yes. Okay. So if I search this title, Grid Systems, there we go. Locate it. It's going to find it for me. Reject unnecessary cookies. I just click the title, and then you can access it from your libraries, but usually, no, I don't want to be in WorldCat. It took me to the wrong, Like, there should be a way to read it here.
If it's copyrighted, oh.
Well, okay, all right. So let's talk about how the Open Library operates sometimes. And it's the internet, it's part of the Internet Archive. But no. So what people will do is they will take individual pages of the book and share that. But anyway, if anyone gets an access through the Open Archive, please let me know if you can access it here. So for instance, if you're looking for an out-of-print book from 100 years, or like a book that's now in the open domain, give me a title. Treasure Island? Let's do Treasure Island. Has anyone read this? I have. It's kind of fascinating. Classic. So here's what it should do, where it says read. See how this is kind of pictures of it? Has anyone used this resource before? Ever? Am I just like a nerd? I think I am a nerd sometimes. It's okay.
I use it often.
I'm comfortable with myself at this stage of my life. But this is a great resource for anyone if you're looking for a book title. And of course, go through your library, go through that first. I just wasn't sure if Grid Systems was in here, because I'd love for you to look at it. I could keep giving her things, Marina. I hope I do. Okay. So this is a seminal book. It's a foundational book. And I have some stuff that I'm going to actually show you here. But you can see, let's look at this really fast for those who were not here before. What works about this poster? I'm going to have people that weren't here, so I want Stina or Kyla to say what is working about this poster. What do you see first? What's drawing your attention first?
Colorful squares, like the blue, red, and yellow.
The imagery is the first thing we see. It's big, it's bold, it takes up 2/3. We have a lot of white space around it, and it centers our attention. What's the next thing, Stina, that you're drawn to after these blocks? Can you, I think it's, I don't have the best hearing, so I need you to talk loudly.
You already said it, but the whole third is taking out a good third portion of the...
Actually, my question for you was not that question. It was after you look at this, what's the next thing you look at in the picture?
the text form.
Yes. Why?
Because at the bottom is text. So my natural...
But it could be this text. Is it this text or this text that you're looking at?
Well, my thing is... The bigger one.
Yes, size, right? We have image, central image, larger, size of something, smaller text, okay? So we want to have a hierarchy where we need to think through, where do we want our viewers' eyes to go? One of the biggest problems I see in posters is when there is no central thing they're looking at, there's no hierarchy, I don't know as a viewer what I'm supposed to look at, okay? So you need to have that planned in advance of what it is. And we can see there is a grid structure that's going on with underneath, right? We talked about this before with where the columns and the rows, very nicely organized. It's pleasing to our soul to look at that page. All right. This is really important because you could be designing poorly right now. And I will be like, were you not listening to the lecture? What works about this? What do we have going on grid-wise? It's different. Perfect, Sebastian got it. It's a grid, but it's just sideways, right? We have the same column, structure, organization. It has just been rotated. So you can have, it doesn't have to be perfectly vertical, horizontal. You can still have that beautiful alignment, columns, grid structure. Still pleasing to the eye, still following the rule of thirds and balance, and not a totally white background. And this one I don't think people do enough of, which is just typography, okay? But we have kind of the text as an image here. So if you had some typography that ran through the center that was bold and colorful and had this, they would look at this first, right? And this would be second. They did something that isn't normal. I haven't taught you to do this. What's going on with the line spacing here in the center? That's the space between lines.
No, the little really tight.
It's really tight, right? Do you remember the rule I taught you many, many weeks ago? Take the font size plus what number?
20%.
No, that's
Default.
the number you add. So if you have a 12-point font, 7. You add 7 to it. So if you have like a 21-point font plus 7, the leading would be 28. And you can manually alter that in Illustrator. They didn't do that. They broke the rules, but they broke the rules on purpose. Okay? So that was an intentional choice by the tech designer.
Why is it always 7?
I just was taught that. I don't
That doesn't make sense, because
But-
if I have 6-point type, then I got a leading of 6 plus 7.
Try it and see what it looks like. First of all, you shouldn't have 6-point type. You can't do it. Nothing really should ever below 8, and even 8 is for someone who is
Okay,
not
so
as
8 and 7, that's 15. So
I'll look
that's
it up and I'll find the answer for you.
Okay, I was always
I mean-
taught 20%.
Well, it could be,
Or
like,
120%.
well, but I think it coming, just for something, again, going to, I can look it up. It is something I remember. It was something I was taught. I don't think they were trying to lead me off, but it could equate to 20%-ish. Or
I guess
approximate.
A fixed number doesn't make sense to me.
Yes, I get you. I hear you. I think for most type sizes are going to be like 12, 14, 16, 18. So I think it's just for that. It's very rare that we're going into image, but I'll look it up, Mark. I appreciate the question. I will definitely look it up. Okay. What is working for this poster?
I think the separation of the text from the rest of the designs draws the eye to a different direction. And because of the position of the larger text, it brings more attention to the text underneath it.
It's definitely using 2/3.
Yes. And you could recreate this in Illustrator very easily, right? This is just circles. And they're using a couple different grids, modular, rotated, and radial grids. So the grid here is radiating out, is the grid that they're using for the background imagery. But it also increases in size, so it goes smaller to thicker, and that also is pleasing to our eyes. It goes off the page. Remember, you can go off the page with your design. But definitely there is a margin here. So I see a lot of you working on posters already. there should be margins of some kind. We might take a walk. This is a bad college. Sorry, it's just going to come out of my mouth. And I'm not trying to put people's work down. So I feel like a horrible human being. But I kind of want to take you on a field trip out to the posters in the hallway. And I want to use the term walk of shame. That's why I feel bad that it's words that are coming out of my mouth. Because what they did was they have the ideas there, but the space is so big for them, they don't know how to use the space effectively to make the posters. So there's just a lot going on. It's just a lot going on that hallway. So we might take a
You should put sticky notes on these.
I mean, see, the thing is, what the great thing is that they probably, if they're professors or not, if they're not taking into account, you know, they may not care, which is fine, but here's the thing, I want you to leave the class. I don't care what profession you go into, right? These skills transfer to any profession you go into, because you will always be asked to make a presentation. You will always be asked to make something to convey some form of information to some group of people. So these are life skills. So I'd like to think that they get those life skills before they go, but it's okay. This is also just showing on modular grid systems and more three-dimensional spaces. So kind of the web, if you're thinking from a website, how that is structured, that there's underlying grid modules even in all the websites that we see. Hierarchy, our image, you know, we're drawn here first, second, third, smaller stories that may not be headline news. Okay, let me zoom out a little bit. So there are different, like I said, different ways that you can get the viewer's attention. And one of the things you'll notice is kind of probably coming across regularly is sometimes it's okay to be more minimalist in your designs because they can be very effective, right? So if we're thinking about pollution or something, like instead of Hiroshima, if I put pollution and it was red and black and white, and I know I'm looking at this first, this is the largest, boldest, centered, this is probably next, these two things, and then this is last. Right, the smaller text. So very clear hierarchy for me. Following a grid, right? There's a grid under there. Do you see it? See if you can find the grid, right? This H is completely aligned with the text here. And this type is completely aligned with the O and the P. And this text down here is aligned with that H and that upper text, right? So there's always an underlying grid structure. Same thing, hierarchy here. We have balanced color, kind of digitized look. And this was developed for the Park Service, so this was going off. Now you can actually go into experimental typography. I think it's great to kind of look. This was in the 70s when this was all done by hand. They did not have computer screens, folks, yet they were doing amazing work. Huh?
Set type.
Right. And then you should know his name. He was like, I don't know, the bad boy of 1994, or maybe earlier. His name's David Carson. Hillman Curtis did one of those videos that I showed you with Milton Glaser on David Carson, but he worked for a surfboard magazine, I want to say. He was the lead designer, and he did a lot of typography in this way, which made it kind of more grunge at the time. You know, Nirvana was popular. Flannel was big. My husband bought a waffle shirt. I was like, it's circa 1992. It was the style at the time. It's a Simpsons reference too. Okay, I think that's what I wanted to cover, just visually examples. So, this is great. Top 5 tips. Top 5 tips. Write this down. You could take a picture, or you could note it on something. But here are the top 5 tips, or even just save the page. You know, put a little blue star, put it in your LDT folder so that you can come back to this someday. You need to plan how your grid relates to its container. Okay? So in his book, that's the one that I showed you with the orange cover. How a grid is positioned within the page, how the margins are set up can have a big impact on how the grid performs both functionally and aesthetically. So what I would actually kind of show you, or what I want to show you, we'll come back to this, I'm going to downsize it and just open up Illustrator really fast. All right, and I promise not to talk too much. I just am really passionate about grids. I've got some pictures to show you. Because I think it's something that people take for granted. But let's say you have skip. So if I have a new document and I am working from an 11 by 17 inch document, okay? I'm gonna just do vertical. I'm gonna go ahead and hit create. One of the things, remember, if you turn Control R on, turns on your ruler. I'll show that again. Control R off, Control R on. And you can also look, they do have ways to turn on grids. Some of them are a little bit more, so you have an underlying grid always exists here, but maybe you can say to yourself, you know what, I'm gonna add in a guide. If you remember how to add guides, it's simply putting your arrow, your cursor, in the black space of that ruler, dragging it over. It looks like I'm not really dragging anything. I'm dropping it off. I'm gonna make myself little inch guides, and I can do that from the top and the bottom. So here what I'm doing is I'm setting down. And remember, we visually weight stuff differently. So I actually encourage you, rather than just doing an inch and all way around, that you would say, hey, you know what, I might give myself 2 inches. Because we have a tendency to weight down our work, right? And then I could remember how I said you could take that, make the rectangle within those guides. I'm trying to drop it down. Let me try that again. Hold on. Make my shape. So I have my rectangle. Do you remember what the next steps are from what I taught you last week? Does anyone remember the arrows? Can you verbally say? Do you remember? What? Object. To path. Split into grid. And it says how many rows, how many columns. So if I did 6, well, no, let's do 9 rows, it's vertical. And maybe I do 6 columns, and I want my gutters to be, and remember, click preview so you know what you're doing. You need to have preview. And then my other gutters, maybe 0.25. And I can add guides, so then I see it across the page, and it bleeds off the page, and I can go, okay, what I have effectively done in this document was set my margins first, then design the custom grid I wanted on the inside. And remember, there's more steps to turn that into guides for you personally. But going back to those 5 principles, let's go back there now. I appreciate your attention. I know I'm competing with all the other things in your lives. But that is how it's positioned within the page can have a big impact on grid performance. So don't just design with the grid, design the grid, right? So that's what we were talking about. I think this is a great visual, particularly for those that might have this class last week. Why is there a big, someone who I haven't heard from yet? Bennett, have you heard from me, Bennett? Like, can you tell me what happened here? Why is this wrong? And why is this okay?
Because it's kind of in between the grid. It's not the one that's wrong is kind of laying over everything, whereas the one that's right is kind of in between the grid lines.
What are these called? Are you talking about these?
Yes.
What are these called?
The gutters? Yes.
The gutter. When we design, we can go across the gutters intentionally, but on the edges of it, we should not. okay? That's where people go wrong a lot. They design in the gutter on this side or this side, and you, again, if you're gonna maybe do 2 columns here, it would go from the blue through that gutter down to here. That's why this one's wrong, okay? I think it's a nice visual of what can go wrong with a gutter, using the gutters. Good job. You guys are also smart. There you go. Get you over at Georgia Tech. Okay, always begin and end elements in a grid field, not in the gutter. We already talked about that, right? It should be used to separate elements. Don't forget the baseline alignment. This is what they're talking about. You can turn on the baseline to see where things are. This text here is going through the text, and you want it to be above, just like resting. Okay? Sorry, I walk a lot back and forth to that.
Okay, so I was playing around with this the other day.
Uh-huh.
And I was having an issue with some of the, what you call like basement letters. So, you know, like, for example, letters like a lowercase g that goes down. Those kept dipping.
Extender. They're called extenders, yeah.
Yeah. They keep dipping into the gutter area. And
That's okay.
so that's okay if
That's okay.
What the letter does, it just
Yes.
the full letter.
Yes. And so if you go to view, by the way, I just want to show this. You should be able to see the baseline. Let's see if I can find it. I'm going to find my grid. I'll find where it is, but you should be able to view your baseline. They have a way to look at it. Does anyone? Not transparency grid. I'll find it. The baseline. I know, it's not intuitive sometimes. It's okay. All right, so I think that was it on that particular page. I'm going to show you, I'm going to switch things up. Now, for my, I don't know, I'll try to do this for my people who aren't here. I don't know. Maybe I care too much. I got to stop caring. Stop caring. I don't think this is going to work at all. This is why I'm not an engineer. That works not bad, actually. Okay. Here we go. Document camera. This is a great book that I had recommended to you. Let me zoom out a little bit. This is the book, Thinking with Type. Where can we find this? True, we can go to the bookstore. It's only $19. I love that she printed it in full color and made it really quite cheap for people to access. But where have I taken you to find it before? Do you remember? Say it louder. Open Archive, yeah, the web archive. You can search Thinking with Type. Remember, because she had a companion website and she took it away. So she provided all this information for free and then she just like stopped. So in this book, she shows different uses of the grid and obviously goes through historical uses of the grid. Nice rule of thirds going on here. We've got 1/3 horizontal, 1/3 vertical. She shows same thing, typography from historical days. And then she goes into some examples of something that I want to see. Have you done this with your posters? Where you have maybe centered, you have say 2 columns and information chopping off in the center. So she would argue that, and this is for magazine and design in particular, but using staggering images in relation to the content instead of forcing text to wrap around blocks moored at the center of the page. Okay? So just that way. Go ahead, Sebastian.
Would the example on the left not be good for like a comparison type of poster?
For a comparison, well, what they're talking specifically about here, I don't know if I can zoom in even more.
Just like the shapes being different alignments, like one's vertical, one's horizontal, or is it like the thing that's connecting them? That's the issue.
What they're talking about is the text wrap issue here with the columns.
Okay.
So they're saying it's not that you can't have like something in relation with the text to the image, but you're wrapping it around.
Okay.
You're wrapping it around, and that's what you don't want to do. Okay, it's just harder on our eyes. So I wanted to bring that up. And you can see here her underlying grid structure even for the book, right? that she has a grid structure of alignment, that it can come over here. There's extra space usually in books for the thumbs. You want to give yourself some extra space because people turn the pages. Okay. I think this is a gorgeous grid example. So it's not to say you can't fill your page of your poster, but we have this nice break where we know we can read more information and find out more information. So considering, is there a pattern that could be in your poster that goes across? And remember, what's the name of what I'm trying? Ah, there goes the camera. It went down. I'm trying to show you, I said the term last week, design starts with a P. I know, it's a mess, but I'm okay with, again, I'm comfortable with like being that professor that's a little scattered. That's fine. Because I care. Trying to make sure that they can see the examples. You know? Okay. So let me see. I think that I have a couple more examples from the books. And you can come and look at my books. Please know that this is not privy information where you can't like not see what I'm doing. Other beautiful examples of the grid use in a layout design. And then she kind of gets revolutionary. I love interactive designers. This is for you now. In 1994, MICA, that's the Maryland Institute for Creative Arts. It's kind of like your SCAD, your RISD, very good design school. So if you want to go get an MFA, MICA is a great place to go. But you can see they're using the grid even back in the day, in the early days of web design. More examples of web design where grids are being employed. What was that, Mark? I didn't hear.
You can go and get the grid SCAD and also that for the rest of your life.
Yes, this is true. This is true. Absolutely. It is very expensive, so you have to kind of weigh the cost. Now, I'll say there's some people, you know, designers love to mention if they went there, because it is, I mean, you have great faculty there. That said, so here's some larger, well, this is what I had mentioned about before with the golden section, golden ratio or nature. This is a spiral. If you think of a shell that was broken, there's a spiral pattern. This is just pleasing to our eye. This is why. Look at this shape. And then look at a light switch and ask yourself, are they one and the same? Why, yes, they are. Our light switches are this exact size, shape, okay? Because it's pleasing to the eye. We don't need this whole size for the two little light switches that are on the inside. But the golden ratio is just, we just love it. It's pleasing. I had to do a geometry project on it. I know you guys are excited to hear that when I was a sophomore in high school on that very topic. So anyway, so looking at being generous on the inside, if you're ever going to do a layout, would have more space because we've got to open the book like this. So you actually have to, you don't think about it, but getting that paper down, we actually are more generous on the inside with a book layout. That's why you would look and say, wow, this seems very far apart, but because it would be printed and then bound in the center, that is why. So lots of different ways she plays and shows different ways you could arrange the grids with multi-column grids. Yes. Okay, I'm going to show a few other posters, and then I'm going to come around and you can also look to see how she's used grids in these ways. But really, I encourage you to spend time working with exploring modular grid design. Appreciate a good grid, y'all, because I don't think grids really they don't get the love that they deserve. Okay, let me see. I'm going to pull out one more thing. So you should have Illustrator open. We're going to be working on our grid. This was my little, thank you for listening to my mini lecture. I like to call them mini, but you're like, I don't think you realize how long you talk. So I do appreciate that you may have paid attention. And I just want to show you a few more grid stuff. 455. I have them right now. Y'all can be working on your poster design if you are waiting on me. Give me a second, because I want to show you something that 186. This is it. Okay. It's taken me a while. So I'm just going to show you a few images related to layout design, okay? Now this is, for organizing content, this is square, but these are, remember we did all those square, exercises historically in the past. But you can see how there are different ways of using that space, all with the grid in mind. And it doesn't have to be overly complex, but all of these work, right? General arrangements. You were to come here today with at least some sketches of what your poster may look like, because it's easier to do this kind of information than it is to do it by hand. This one is a very, very tight grid, okay? So this is a very thin columns that they used across. Super, super tight. You can see actually here like the typography, the small type with this letter, and where the next line is. So they used a very complex modular grid with also some diagonals on it, okay? I want to show you. These are all using this grid structure. And you can see the different solutions that the designer made from here, okay? And how they carried it in different ways too. So I believe this is all the same designer, an Icelandic designer as well. One of the things you can bring in for this project, you can bring in photography. However, if you bring in photography, I would consider not having some rules of this. We're going to write them down. Actually, I'm going to write down some rules for this poster. What rules do you think you should abide by for this project? Copyright. Yeah, be mindful of copyright, right? Like, so don't use copyrighted images, right? My son, we got into it because we got to share Rory's story. He's in visual arts or visual communication. He had a sketchbook assignment. It said, don't use a copyrighted image. And he immediately put his favorite sports team down, the logo of it. I was like, that's copyrighted. And he got upset with me because you can imagine having me as a mom. And started over completely on his drawing. It came out very effective, but yeah, it was a copyrighted image. But generally speaking, what do you think about text? What would we want to keep in mind for text that you use? And then, go ahead.
Consistent, maybe in the same font family.
Yes, yes. You want to pick one family. And if you opt to pair it, if you do a sans serif, you can do it with one serif. All right, so there's pairings. I think it's actually in this book, and I'm happy to share. Usually I printed this and gave you a copy of it. I know it's in this book, and I'm going to find the page for it of typography that pairs together. But I can help you. So this is an example here, right? This is just the thesis family, and it has serif and sans serif. So it's actually a family where not only does it work together, but there's like scala. I'm going to say this, all right? They have a scala and a scala sans. So you actually can say, look at the end, that's the sans serif, and there's the serif, and they have the same arc, and they just work together really well. So that's what I mean is like, you can have options. This is just interstate, but they're all in the same family. But you do, please, try to avoid something like interstate like compressed, right? Unless you have a reason to put in compressed font, or you just probably just want to avoid it. Compressed particularly. Condensed is even hard. Our eyes like, regular. We're kind of like regular, okay? Does that make sense? So there are families where you have the sans and sans serif and the same. Okay, so back to that, we got the type. What about color? Come on, y'all. Color. What am I going to tell you about color? Yes. If you can, I would say stick to 2 to 3 colors. All right, if you're doing, unless you have a reason, you know, like maybe your poster, when I say that, and let's say you've got, let's look at this, okay? This is the Declaration, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Everyone had to lay this out. So in this case, we have some people that just did black, white, and yellow. This person took more of it. It's actually kind of hard to read with that many colors. It's not to say you can't do that approach, but it's a little bit, it's tougher. I think for you, an effective solution, if I really can like kind of encourage you. So this is a beautiful like quilt type thing. They're not 2 or 3 colors here, right? So in this case, this is very intentional. I think where people go wrong is when, and this is beautiful, but even this is really same, they're analogous colors, right? They're side by side on the color wheel, so it looks very pleasing. Very pleasing, if I have to say so myself. All right, so back to color, 2 to 3 colors. You can't go wrong if you make it black, white, and red. I lost my marker, but that's par for the day for Thursday here. I will find a new marker. There it is. Great. Okay, so we've got text, color, what else? Images. High resolution, I mean, ideally, we're working in Illustrator, so vector images are good.
Image wouldn't be vector, it'd be raster.
Well, like Illustrator uses vector images. I'm talking about AI-based images, things that you made out of vectors, not bringing in photography that you vectorized.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. Personally, but I mean, people do it. That's just, it's not my cup of tea, because I'm like, but it can be done. If you have it and you can make it yourself. Where else? I talked with Maria. Maria, remember what I talked with you as a good resource to find maybe a simple vectorized image? It was like, 2 weeks ago, or like first day. It's the website we already went to when you guys were drawing your 100 things. Yes. It's okay. I'm reminding everybody. The Noun Project has some really beautiful, simple icons, because think about it this way, guys. I'm going to cover up the name. Who's my art aficionado? Anybody recognize this building? It's all right. We're in Atlanta.
Mom?
Huh?
Mom?
The Guggenheim. So the shape of the building is this. What a beautiful, simple, effective poster, though. Super simple, because it references the shape of the building. So what I encourage you is that sometimes simple can be really powerful. And again, you can use all of my books. These are all different posters of people who are coming up with concept sketching. So I really want you to concept sketch, because you might be able to come up with solutions that are quite, this looks like actually, remember the poster I showed you for Mission Impossible? Somewhat similar with the shadow, right? Yeah. And then, anyway. So, okay, going back, any other kind of guidelines? Obviously, we need a grid, and we need to be mindful of margins. Mindful of margins. Sebastian, were you going to say something?
No, sorry.
Okay. Must be present and follow it. Oh, there we go. Anything else? So there should also be, if you look at the rubric, some form of call to action. Okay? So for instance, in that Guggenheim Museum, it doesn't really tell me, okay, it's the Guggenheim Museum, but what am I supposed to do with that information? Like, what am I supposed to do? So make sure there's some sort of directive, right? Directive for, or to do something. Something. All right. Directive to do something. Director Dusa. What am I missing? Anyone, am I missing anything? Anybody? Anybody? Okay, use this time. I will come around and look at what you've done or help you get started. If you're like, I don't even know what I'm doing yet. That's, you know, if you need some ideas, I can help you. I'm seeing if I can find any other beautiful examples. Colors.
Dr. Roman,
Yes.
I haven't gotten a chance to do much. Would I be permitted to just continue working on it though?
Yeah, I'd love for you to. This is what we're going to do right now. We're going to continue to work on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Turn the light on.
Yeah, I can turn the light on. I don't want you to fall asleep. And if you fall asleep, I'll wake you up with love, like gentle kindness of like, it's okay, poor baby, you could need more sleep. And I think I did tell you, I would pull all-nighters in college once a week because we had studio classes and critiques were on. We'd have class Monday, given an assignment, major assignment. I had to have it done by Wednesday, so I'd stay up all day Tuesday night. And then I'd have an art history class after 2 back-to-back 3-hour studios. And by the time she turned off the lights and was talking about art history, I was tired. And I didn't try to fall asleep, I just did. Because I was tired. Okay. I'm gonna come around now. So that is the end of I encourage you now, please know you can go here. I did not go through in session 14 all of these resources, right? So this is a template that you can pull out. This is an AI template that you can use. Pardon? Oh, sorry, yeah, thanks. Ha! I appreciate you, Mark. What would I do without you, buddy? So if you go to Layout Essentials, this file you can download and it will give you a template that you can use. But what I would also say is this doesn't have the margins. It's got a nice baseline grid. It's got a nice modular grid. It shows you lots of gutters, right? So it's a nice tight grid. You can totally work from this template. This is an Illustrator 11 by 17 template. Feel free to use it. But just know, you really want to consider your margins because this doesn't clearly say what your margins are, right? Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. Let me go over, and I'll be right there, Soraya. So I just want to make sure. So for those, remember when I was, for Stina and Kyla, I know you're about to leave. She already left, it's fine. I don't take it. Okay, this information before you walk away on what I demonstrated with the object path split into grid, and then go to view guides, make guides. I'm going to show that one more time, but go use the restroom. I'll just show those who are here. Okay. So if you are, remember where I left off here, I'm going to take hold down the space bar, allows you to move, and then you go to view guides, make guides. So if I go to view, then guides, and make guides, it turns that into guides. They should be selected, I would hope. I'm gonna try it again. Make sure I select all. Control A selects everything. View, guides. I had already made them. Great. And then you can, of course, lock them into place. And you can release them or turn them off with the control semicolon, turns our guides off and on, and then you can also hide your grid. Once you have that, because I'm going to hide the grid, hide grid. So now I just have this nice clean interface from which to work. So there's lots, again, I'm not going to tell you exactly the grid you want to use because it really depends on the work that you're doing, but I'm going to ask you on Tuesday morning, when you come in right away, to put your poster in Miro, show with the guides what it looks like so that we can have a peer critique, okay? So you must come to class on Tuesday with your work done. Let me just see, the cow parts. Oh, I think I've done poster ideas. Oh, these were your ideas. So I still don't know what you guys are planning to do. So make sure you let me know. So Mark, if you're going to do the glucose management, go ahead and make that green. So if you all can pop in there and let me know what you're doing and why.
Green.
Okay, you're not using your grid already. I know. Well, it says title. It's not like your T is not on the top.
I know.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay. I am laying out my placement and where I want everything to
Okay.
go. This is my image that I sketched that I want to do.
Okay.
I need help picking a typeface and a code. I need your advice. Because,
What year? Oh, you remember your server?
yeah, I'm putting like respect to service workers.
Okay.
I'm putting tips on how to do so. And that's how I'm getting ready to be placed on the plate. This is where I want the image to go. And this is where I'm going to put the image.
Okay. So can I give some thoughts on that?
Okay.
Okay. All right. Can I sit down next to you? I'm going to give you some suggestions. Or I can do it on the whiteboard, and they clean it every time for me, you know? So here's what's happening with your poster, okay? Is you have it up here and the type over here. But you really have effectively made your poster 4 blocks. And I think with your image being so strong, you really want to think going bigger or bolder with your image so that your image is, you can see like here, the image is big, the image is big, the image is big. Kind of more, it's, yeah, I mean, this is not maybe my best one, but let me see if I can get something here that, and I still want to find the thing that I promised to everybody. I'll do.
I like your shirt.
Thank you. Let's see if I can find, I want to find an example. And you can talk to people. Don't worry. Talk to your neighbor.
You want to turn the guys into the
Do you remember? I'm going to open it up again. I'm not finding a good example here. So let me go back to here. When I showed grids, history, tips, and links, thinking about, so loud, this little scrolly thing, so loud. Is like where the words Hiroshima are, having your poster balanced in that way would be a lot more effective. And hear me out why. That I'm going right where you should be. But if you had same concept and with this plate, okay, you have some sort of color in the background. You have this is clearly like some sort of play. Now, I know you have vertical words, but I don't think you would ever probably have vertical objects when we come and serve someone. But it would probably have horizontal. Probably stack the text to make it look like kind of,
Yeah, that's what I'm
you know what I'm saying? And you can also decide if you want the tray, because usually these trays go off the page, so you can kind of decide, or you can say maybe this align, maybe the poster would be better off horizontal. And you could possibly put in some information smaller below, right? So if you wanted to put in facts, you know, you could consider where you have it, but the image is so strong. This is kind of like, and if you want, you can get and do a field trip yourself to the Poster Hall of Shame towards the buses and just go look and say, what is wrong with those posters? Julian, you want to go do it with, you want to go walk the posters? You want need help? I'll come over and help you. Okay, I'll come on over. But that's how I would continue to sketch and look at some ideas. But, so like if you turn these sideways, you can get an idea of how it could possibly be. But I think it would be,
Your actual idea, do you think is strong?
oh yeah. My dad, he was a bartender. He used to be, it was interesting, he had like he was an administrator, he was a hospital administrator, a CEO like that, and he was miserable. He quit his job, and he couldn't, there was ageism, you know, because like people go on hire 60-year-olds or whatever. So he just started bartending. And he went from having like legitimately corporate career to a bartender who lived on tips. And this was when I was in high school. So people would be like, what did your dad do? And I'd be like, do you want to ask your dad's bartender? That's what I was told. And I was like, I don't want to have a bum on beer. If you remember from Tuesday. I would like to show more pictures, but what I would say is what you're trying to look for are, and you can go to the Cal, sorry. Yeah. For those who are not there, there's this great, if you need some inspiration, remember the Cal Arts Poster Archive. So this is also a great place to look at for poster ideas. And you can see not a lot of them stuck to that. I mean, some did stick to the 2 to 3 colors, but a lot of them went beyond that. I'm trying to find.
Good question.
Yes.
When we're doing our colors, does it have to be, of course, it has to go along with what we're doing, but do we have complete freedom on the colors that we choose?
Yes, you do. For colors, remember, Adobe Color Palette. So if you go to color.adobe.com, they have these beautiful explore, and then you can search, so you can say restaurant, and it actually will have some palettes of a restaurant, or you could see, you know, these are going to be harmonious colors. They will not lead you astray. And you can look at different palettes. Now just be careful, because like this looks like an Italian restaurant. And you know, so I mean, unless you want an Italian flag, but yeah. There's ways to look for it. But they have emotions, right? So if you're looking for a joy, they'll have some colorful, joyful palettes. But I would never try to just randomly pick a color on the color wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would not. I'm gonna go help Julie next. Is that okay? I'm gonna work my way.
Thank you.
Work the room, as they say. Work the room. I don't see margins. So margins, if you think about, let me grab a piece of paper. Or book. I'll grab a book. I opened it to the exact page. Oh, Nirvana. This is where a whole leaf will unfold the application. This is where there's going to be no information. Right? Partial bleed is where you might have some information and then some down here. So right now, there should be some protection and considering where for your grid, when you need this grid, are you okay if I help you do it?
Yeah, I don't understand.
Do you have you? Sure. Let's go ahead. What size is this? The white here. The blue or white?
This.
So. Perfect. Okay. Did you read? You said no.
I read the chapter that, I read this chapter.
The chapter, well, this is not the word that we use. This is ours. This is the difference. We have the, it's called graphic conversation. This is just This is what we recommended. Right, you can, there's a, it is outside, so you can be outside at time. So as long as you've read chapter 8, and it's something that takes time to do, so you can kind of also say to yourself, I'm gonna do, so this is totally a, yeah, I love my service. What are we gonna do? And just, what I'm gonna do is how much space, so here's the thing, the text over here is this started knowledge, and that's not part of the image. And one of the things we talked about from the get-go is not having as much attention, like, we have something too close to the edge. We want to make some attention space. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna add in, we're gonna turn it over to Control R. And this is going to give you, this is going to show you the document right now is in I want you to change that from points to inches. So if you use the drop down. Just try it. Let's see what happens. So the drop down, I'm going to change this. Now, up here, see how it changed? So now we have inches. And so this is so look at that.
you're going to, unless you want, unless you want. So, like I said, what I would do is start making a question. Right? Shorthand. And then you do okay, go back. So, we're going to turn on a little bit. This is the system. It's broken up by inches. So let's just say yes. Do you want any space on the side? Or do you want it to detect distance? If you like this, how this looks, of not having anything in there, you probably have to. If you like it closer, if you want to. It's just to move this down. We have this. And we have this. Into that center point. There we go. This will still go on the page. Okay. The margins are just really text. Margins are not just really text. So that we're actually just looking at our text. At our text. On this side. So the teachers will also just do this. And then we can say you have the bus. Is that this? So for this, just like right, this, because it already is such a very strong package. So we're going to take the note, bring it to the and we're going to pull it back down. We're going to stop. Just like that. If it's not exactly where you want it to be, just do something. Now we're going to do it from this top line. If you're on the floor, so you go, I'm sorry, black column, sorry. Yes, that's the other more this way. No, you're not. Go over and let's put in 2 margin. So grab it. Hold it on. And then release it. And then we're going to do it again. And so what we have here are, so if we grab the black one, fold it down. And you just want to make sure that's and then we so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make you wanted to do so it's kind of third but you want to have two colors, right? Now what's the thinking is yes, we're at time. Sorry, guys. You can go, you can stay. You're free to work. I'm sorry I got to two of you. But I will stay around as long as anyone, and if you want to come to office hours, if you want to do a Teams meeting on Friday, if you want to do any, like, spend the rest of the day with me, that's fine. I will work with you. Okay? So we've got, let's go to. Yeah. And then just and type in that'll do it.
Yeah, I actually wanted to.
Yeah, that's it. I've got, yeah, sure, let me get you a pencil, hold on. Can I borrow this, may I borrow this? Here, write down the sentence.
Not copyright, but it's like kind of significant for the
Actually, I think it was actually copyrighted off of Basquiat, who's an artist. Are you familiar with Basquiat? You know that was Andy Warhol in the 70s. I'm just going to pull up his imagery, so I just want you to know that the No Crowns movement may have pulled Basquiat. Jean-Michel Basquiat. He was a artist, and so he had, if I crown. So do you see this? Mm-hmm. This is sort of his, this was called Pez Dispenser, one of his maybe very famous works. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so now I would say you can create your own image of it. So try to figure out how you might do it out of vector, and you can possibly use a brush for it. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. It's
I
a,
know. I love
it's
that
a,
print.
it's
nice
a,
one.
yeah,
It's a good one.
that's why, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Cool, he just.
All right, so let's go back to the So let's go ahead and make the entire background a particular color. What do you want to say the background of this stuff is? Gray? Blue? White? We're gonna make it 11 by 17. Okay, okay. And we're gonna now type in. We're gonna get rid of this line. This line. So that made it black. What we're gonna do is, yeah, so it doesn't have border. We're gonna make that color. So what number do you want to color that here? That's the one that's. Hit enter. Okay, and we can actually send that to the back. So the box again. So if you go to object, arrange, send to back. And we're going to move it so it's on our and you know what I always do? If I don't do it right where I want, I can always adjust it to zero. Now, that's good. I'm going to keep that zero there. I'm going to hit control 2 on the numbers. Now so, the next thing that we can do is we can put in this could be the text can go across boxes. But if you remember, I was like, we want it to be so if this is the thing is that this is rounded on the side. What problem is if this is my text? Some people put it on the ground, but they kind of stick it in the box. So this comes here to represent boxes. We always want to start it. That text may extend across the gutters. But we would want it to go beyond whatever box we decide. So we'll practice. So if I grab, this is how we do it. I want you to take a box. And we're going to make sure it has no information. We're just going to do to get rid of that, we press the line. So where do you want to put text? So let's make it try that. Try that. Okay. So I'm going to move this. So let's make a text box. Start at the top. Well, the thing is, they don't have it that it was. So the problem is, this is not in a container. We're going to put text in a container. We're going to make so basically a blank rectangle. We're going to make it from here down here over. So start at the top corner. We can hit that. Top corner. We can zoom it out.
I'm not here to make a fence, and I'm not going to. I think that's what we would like, having to do.
And now, what we're going to do is we're going to take that.
I had a test.
But when we hover over that box, it'll say text on the pass. So we kind of have to go right to the college to the box. So we're going to go up to the top. So let's set it.
I see a turnaround.
What that's done now is you have filled your text box. It just puts us here and tape. And now we can change.
Well, no.
So
I
now we
actually
can make it.
don't say it. You show up on time. Once you show up and you stay there.
I think that's perfect. I would do a big bold.
Do whatever it has.
This graphic design is going to basic, just that big, that bold sans serif winter.
I don't sorry. I was really upset. I didn't say anything earlier because I had to, I was so mad.
And that might make it
So angry with the position that you put. One thing is to put yourself in a position when you're working in the group, in the team, it's not an I thing. Whatever you do affects
And
you.
we're gonna change it.
Sakina, Kyla, and Sean. Whatever I do affects you and everyone
To
else.
something that's
That's
like-
what working really helps. And when you're doing this, what you
Tutor is always a great one.
creates stress and more work on the others.
It's just a
And it
nice,
makes all of us look bad. You should have seen Dr. Husband. It's there. You saw his face while he was reading that
Franklin
sermon.
Doc is fine.
He was
Franklin Doc.
like this. I mean, it was embarrassing.
And then you can actually select all of it and make it. Oh,
I understand your challenge. I understand. Hey, I get it. Like I said, I had 3 jobs.
like, I want to acknowledge you because this shit is hard. This, and it's okay. But
You weren't just.
I know, and you're doing great. You're not, I mean, you're doing great. I really, I don't.
Or if
Yeah,
you
you
would
can
have asked
whatever.
questions, if you were,
And then you can make it a bigger,
misunderstanding.
so you can go, I would do it so it rolls over to the next line and actually let it go to the next line.
Yes, you did. Because I know that was an excuse you made, because I heard it.
So what happens, so you see this little
I
red
don't want
box?
your excuses.
It means you have two, your stuff is no longer visible.
I don't want to use.
So you could have it,
your schedule. I'd rather do not
you
volunteer
could have it unknown, or you could decide.
than you look bad and do what you've done.
You can always play with this. But for right now, let's just go ahead and leave
So
it.
you know your schedule.
Let's make it 40.
I'm not going to volunteer for something if I know I can't.
Let's go higher, go higher.
Right now, there's, I'm going to
Winter
say
weather
whether
is, I'm sure you would do.
I don't know if you were there about the documentation.
With your text box.
That Dr. Hunt
This.
has asked everyone to do. And I'm
You can
doing it. And yes, and Dr.
drag it down. Okay, and say,
So.
maybe I have it here, and maybe my,
Maybe. Like I said, just prove that you.
or you could decide, maybe I'm gonna, and the, one of the things I mentioned
Not the best.
is you can play with it. The nice thing is you can decide, do I want the text box here? Maybe I want it back to,
I think you're highly talented. I think you're really smart. And I don't think that I've seen it is the true record.
but
I really don't.
we'll just like have it here, right now. I think older, bigger can be better. So you can maybe even say,
Because I have to
you
prioritize.
could, instead of winter weather's coming, are you gonna be marking
First
first?
of all, tonight. And then I had to do 2 other surveys because of the change.
Because you could say, maybe instead of winter weather's coming,
And it's okay.
maybe you say,
You would have done the survey with all of our questions.
Mind
and added your
the-
own and said, you know, this is why I think.
mind the
That's
weather,
okay to do.
right?
But
Or mind the
really
storm.
Disregarding what
Mind
everyone
the
has seen on, that's what it's.
Top
No, I believe that. But I'm not
Okay.
one of those things like that. Respect, we all respect each other and do our part and do everything. Okay, sorry.
I'm gonna help you do this, if it's okay, unless you have something to have.
I appreciate it. Let's just,
What do you normally
I
have?
gotta move forward and again.
Nothing. Okay.
You know
Let's do
your
it.
schedule.
Let's work this out. So you have to.
Yes.
Do you work a job? What job do you work?
I think you were to,
In the back, in front of your server?
yeah. No, it's okay. And I think, because it does, because even in,
Not the show title, I just,
if you know that.
So here's what we're gonna do.
Half-assing
We think about, let's get our image of the road.
your
In the right. So what I think, what you probably will need is, let's go back to color
Now, we live in a real state.
for
If that was a job,
sky, I got these two blues.
I would.
So I'm trying to think about,
Second job, I would.
one color
And I have.
is gonna be the road. One color is gonna be here,
I know that.
and then another color is gonna be this.
So what colors do you think we should do for this road, this, and what's up here?
Everyone. Do what you want on your own. But when it's a group project, think about that. No, thank you. I appreciate it. Sorry.
Yeah, you could. So what we could do is you're gonna take, to make this box, you're gonna draw a rectangle. Let's zoom out. Okay, so this one, you zoom out, you'd be like, you know, that, I do think I will need to probably make my type bigger or change my approach of what I'm gonna do for the type. But what I would say is if this was a tic-tac-toe grid, and I'm just trying to do this loosely. Here, I would assume our road probably needs to come up to about like here. So to make a road, we can make a, I don't know if we want it to come to a point, but we need, essentially, we need a box up here, whatever the sky is gonna be. The black, or this dark blue, is it gonna be the sky, or do you want it to be, you said you want the white? All right, go ahead and make a rectangle. Maybe if you wanted it to be, I'll tell you what, having grown up in the Midwest, some of the worst accidents happen at night. Because you could make your road white. I know, hear me out, why. So that if this, you could have this be the dark blue. This could be the lighter blue. One of the two, maybe. And the road itself could be white. And we can see how that looks. This is essentially going to be a triangle that you're going to make. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and make a rectangle that we will probably, so we're going to make a shape. We're just going to make a box. We're actually going to make it bigger than just the margins. We're going to go outside the margins here. So we're not, whatever your sky is, if you totally want this here to be like all one color as you have in your design, then you're going to need to make it about this size. Okay. We're going to come down a third of the way. You can make it that blue color so you can see everything. The great thing about Pinterest is that you can always change the color, you can always change the size. So double click here. Or we can just type in whatever that blue is going to be. If you need a reference. I go with the dark one. And so this, you're going to have to make this box bigger. So you want to take a good third of it. Okay? So right now it's just, right now you have this little snake. You're in the middle, so I want you to make it bigger. Yeah, that's what you have in your drawing. You have this part, like, taking up a good chunk of the third of it. Go all the way to the top. Object arrange, send backwards. You can send, you don't want to go all the way to the back, but you can go shift. One of these two brings it forward. Just go to object, arrange, bring to the front, and then object arrange, send backwards. And that shift, yeah. So you can continue to hit the shift. Then you'll be able to see your guides. Just want to make sure you can see that a little. This is a little bit too big. So what I recommend is making it, let's zoom out more. And we can also do, if you hit Control-0, it brings it right back here. We're gonna zoom out. It's because instead of being indigo, go red button. Great. That way not indigo. Okay. So now we need to make the road. So let's go ahead and make the road. I would say instead of having a pure triangle, would you want it to where it's more flat on top? Okay. So I would still go ahead and make a triangle, and I'll just show you how it's kind of used. Shape tool. This one. Oh, this one. Yep. Polygon. Double click. Or click it. Click. Oh, sorry. Click over here. Double click. So we'll say how many sides do you need. Oh, actually, let's go. We need it pretty big. I would say let's do 10 inches. We can always adjust this. Okay, let's make it white. That's better. Make it white. So you can just like white. Yeah, there you go. And the nice thing is you can now, we're gonna just drag it by the points to get it to where we want. You can have it go off the page too. And then having it, I would probably have it land within one of the boxes and at the edge of the box. So you can see right there. Go up there to the top of that box. You can see that. All right, now we can also change the angle of this. So take it wider and take the corner. Yeah, and drag it. Oh, here, undo. The reason that happened is because you have all the points of blue you have all selected. So click off to the side and just select, yeah. Now you will just move that one. So you can move it and get it to the shape that you want. You can have it go off the page. It's okay. And you can decide, I think I may want this one to come into my margin. You know, like maybe I'll go down my margin. That would be fine. There's different ways you can do it. But I have it go off the page because it won't print, don't worry. Yeah, and if you have any questions, I'm going to just pull over this again. That. This and that. Sorry. See, I did mess up. Sometimes if you just grab a bit. Now we have this on there. And you can decide, do I want my road now? Remember we talked about okay. So we're gonna hide. We've got a road, white road, black, horizon. You have about the tire pressure is what you want to focus on. So I would only focus on the tire pressure. Okay. I wouldn't focus on any of the other elements. I don't even think you need a car flipping. I think you can just say, you can just kind of consider tire pressure as an issue. So you can say from here, if we've got this, you could do plate, no more. Are you familiar with that? It's a French card game that is about, that has, you basically thwart someone from getting to their destination with different things. You're out of gas, you have an accident, you get a tire, they have this really amazing tire. And can we look at the picture of it? Or you can go to the nail project. So it's not to say that having the car is a bad thing, but you're focused on an element of the car, right? So you are, what I would honestly focus on is like something simple like this imagery, like the spokes of a wheel attire. Maybe it's, I don't think that you need the whole car turned upside down. I think you can just have something that gets someone's attention about the tire. That could be. Yeah, kind of. I mean, I'm kind of throwing out ideas. The thing is, I would have to try to think about, like, okay, because here's where your text would come in, that you could put some information in. So if you had, sorry, keep holding on to this. I would just put your information kind of over here. Yeah. Just, you could have a small little text box that went just down these 2 columns. So maybe you went from here to here. Or maybe you had one kind of information here and then a smaller bit of text here. That was, so what I mean is, like, over here we have maybe some key points you want them to know in this row of stuff. And then down here, if you have more you want to tell people, it could be in this, like, thinner column on this side.
Also, I was gonna ask, with this, I'm just trying to figure out what the best place to put this.
Then no pressure.
Yeah. So
I
put it
think-
top bottom before, but now that it's,
This is a great thing that you're thinking through, because it's like, we have an image, and by the way, if you want us to possibly change the road, but what I would say is, for the no pressure, what I would say, I would actually have your text about, I might have the text be like, check your something like, check your, I don't know if you want to say check your tire pressure, or you could get rid of check your and say mind your tire pressure, or kind of, I would actually put, so the winter weather is coming, you could mention down here, winter is coming. Like, you could tell the winter weather coming, do you know how often accidents happen because you have low tire pressure, and then give some instructions down there. That's what I would probably do, is like put the focus of the pressure, because they have some pressure, but you're basically telling them to pay attention to the pressure. And I'd probably do it through all caps a little bit bigger. Look at that. It's off center, it's right at a focal point. It could be gray, like if you wanted to use, instead of having white, if you wanted it to be gray, you could use that gray color, which I think is this one. Let's see if it's different. Is it just VOV? So you could have that there, and you could have, with, I'm trying to think about how to place the tire pressure, or you can have the element where we can take a,
I'm trying to do this.
that's okay. I can make a 4-inch by 4-inch Is it okay if I get rid of some of this other stuff?
Yeah, I don't know if you can take this.
Okay. Well, and I think it's a great message. I think that's what it's on these pictures. It's a very simple, powerful tool. You can go ahead and save this. Let's make a copy. File save. But what you might want to do is just if you hit and then that way you make your type. Now you can always change this, so just because it's a drop down, it's like you can't like or and just continue. You can adjust what way you go. So you go to view. Filter. This window allows you, and you go to show options. You can then play with, you don't want to change the size, but you can change this is the letting. Right here. It's marked right about 20%, but it should be. Just 'cause usually you have bigger tone, actually. To kind of get it. First ones. You're welcome. And what I would do is once you get to the point where you want to get rid, remember you would just say object unlock all, and you selected that group of stuff. And then if I hit backspace, you would delete it out. And then you start to see what your whistle looks like. But it's getting there. I already hit undo, so it's already locked again. And you can get rid of any guides. And I mean, that's really just more for the text, that you have a grid for your text. And you're doing right now, you're paying attention to kind of like, again, the staying on the inside of stuff, staying to the, as long as it's somewhere along the edges and not just like flipping in the box. That's where people go wrong, because they put it on the side, but they're not really paying attention. I think something has to start in a corner somewhere, somehow. That's fine. No, you're fine. It's tough, man. It's like, I'm trying to keep up classes. I took calculus in college, but my trauma really stems from calculus.
Yeah, they didn't recount the first semester here. That's, I was gonna do a STEM major before, then after that, I failed it.
Okay. It's, I mean, it's not to say that classes are bad, and I had a good, I think my calculus professor in college was fine, but I was cocky, because I had already taken it in high school, but I hadn't done well in high school.
I
That
thought
was
it
the
was gonna be
problem.
fun, because I took 2 count in high school.
Right.
And I didn't think stuff, so I was like, oh, it's gonna be fun.
Right.
It was not at all the same thing at all.
No, you're doing well.
Thank you. Thank you so much for helping me
No,
out.
no, no. Well, thanks for being honest. Be like, I don't know what the hell's going on. Like, that's okay. Because that shows you are not afraid to say what you need, and that's like a life skill that will help you in life. So thank you.
And I'll see you Tuesday.
Pleasure's mine. I'll see you next week.